And hello, fellow explorers. What a brilliant area to talk about the Galapagos Islands and these incredible giant tortoises that we're seeing here. I'm joined today by Ramiro, who is one of our expedition leaders on Santa Cruz 2, currently not on the ship, but soon will be. Currently on board is Esteban, the other expedition leader. So a wealth of knowledge in Ramiro, been working in the Galapagos most of your life, Ramiro, which is great, and also our chief scientist, Verena, who's been very much part of our setting up our program in the Galapagos. And then people that you can't see behind the scenes, we've got a wealth of knowledge from Ollie, Alice, Saskia, Aglis, Claudia, Andres, Donata, and Linda, who have all been involved in our Galapagos product. So if you, as Lee said, if you do have questions as we go through about specific itineraries or about any part of the our product in the Galapagos, then please feel free to ask in the chat. We will have a question and answer session at the end where Ollie will come in and we will group the sort of themed questions to try and make sure we answer as much as we can. As with any HX expedition, we plan our trips around that mix of adventure in these incredible places like the Galapagos, a mix of comfort from our purpose-built ships, and also sustainability is at the core of what we do. And we'll bring those elements through in this webinar. For those of you that may be new to expedition cruising, then we're taking you to places that you can't get to in any other way, using the ship as a platform or a base camp, a floating hotel to take you and access these areas with our small inflatable boats, our Zodiacs or Pangas, as we call them in the Galapagos, to take you on cruising, landing, and multiple different activities. In the Galapagos, we have partnered with Metropolitan Touring, which are an absolutely brilliant company, been operating for over 70 years. Again, sustainability is at the core of what they do. Their experiences are designed not just in the Galapagos, but in South America. And they're award-winning and also incredible people to work with. So we work with them to deliver our product in the Galapagos. So yeah, great partnership that we really love working with them and delivering incredible products. To give you a little feel before we talk, then here's a short video to just introduce the Galapagos for you.
Cool.
The sea lion.
This one is actually probably jealous. This is Puerto Llora.
So beautiful.
What a landscape.
What a day.
Wow, I just feel jealous. I just want to be back there. And Ramiro, you're heading back soon. Ramiro, I'll just sort of bring you in now. Why are the Galapagos Islands so special?
Hi. For me and for everybody that comes to visit Galapagos, they're so special because here you find, or in Galapagos, you find the most unique wildlife. I mean, you talk about reptiles, you see reptiles everywhere, but we have the only one that can hold its breath for an hour underwater. We have some of the most naive wildlife in the planet. I mean, baby sea lions will come to you. Birds like blue-footed boobies that can fly, they decide not to fly, they come to see you. So it's a unique place to have a connection with nature. I say that's what makes Galapagos special. It's one of those places where you can connect with nature, connect with yourself, and be part of the environment that surrounds you.
And Verena, of course, evolution of species, Charles Darwin, and in terms of the history of protecting, the Ecuadorian government have been very proactive in the protection. Can you tell us a little bit about how well protected the Galapagos are?
Well, the Galapagos were protected already in the 50s. It was declared a protected area, and only people, Galapagonian peoples like our dear Ramiro, are allowed to work in the Galapagos. So it is not only a way to protect the environment, to protect the islands, but it's also protecting the inhabitants of the Galapagos by providing secure working conditions for them. They go through a course with the national park. They are extremely knowledgeable. They know about the places, the geology, the wildlife, like Ramiro just mentioned. They are very well known. They know everything about the islands, and they will transmit this knowledge to you. They are also extremely passionate about their home. And it is an incredible place. And we have had the privilege to work together with them to develop a product that is very similar to other ships on board the Santa Cruz too, to include the science on the experience that you will get.
That deep immersive experience in this incredible group of islands. And Ramiro, we often get our guests ask, or prospective guests say, when is the best time of the year to go to the Galapagos? And I know you have a fantastic answer for this one.
That's a good question. And I always say, whenever you can, whenever you have the opportunity. Galapagos is actually one of these places that really doesn't have an off-season time. So year-round, we operate. We are on the equator. So weather-wise, we don't have a lot of changes like in the north or in the south. And the animals are always there. Most of the species in Galapagos are from Galapagos, found nowhere else. So there's no migration. There's nothing that affects them, no big changes. So I always say, when you come, that's when you should do it. When you have the possibility, that's when you should do it. Sooner rather than later, because life sometimes tends to get in the way.
That's brilliant. And you can see here on the table of the variation in temperature, it's very small through the year. So yeah, basically always a good time to go, and get going. It's incredible. On our trips, like other areas, but we do a multitude of different activities. And Ramiro, you're on board the ship, and with the captain in charge of delivering these different activities. We're going to talk a bit more in depth about some of them later, but do you want to talk us through a flavour of what our guests will experience when they're on board, and what sort of what the day-to-day looks like?
Yeah, well, all the days are different, of course, depending on the wildlife, what we see. But basically, our day will start about 7 in the morning with breakfast. Then we will go out at 8 for a walk, usually, or a panga ride, coastal exploration. Then we'll come back at about 10:15, and then out again by 10:30 to either go snorkeling, kayaking, paddleboarding, or go on the glassbottom boat. We come back close to 12. Lunch is at 12 for whoever wants to eat again after breakfast. Then usually at about 2:30, we're out again, either snorkeling or kayaking. Then we'll come back, and by about 3 p.m., we're out again doing a nature walk until 6, which is when the national park closes. So every guest has to be back on board at 6. Then they get about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, because at 7, we meet again to talk about the next day and present all the activities we have planned for the guests. Dinner's at 7:30, and sometimes after dinner, if guests have energy and the skies cooperate, we'll do a little bit of stargazing. So it is a full day. It's packed. We do have some days up to 6 landings. So there's a lot of coming and going. But I always say it's such a unique place. It's so far away, you have to make it count. So when you come to Galapagos, try to participate in as many activities as you can, because the idea is to be outside with the animals, with nature.
So talking about animals, we've got this incredible, the Big 15. Verena, tell us what makes this Big 15 so special, and then we're going to bring Ramiro into really bringing his favorites here?
Well, Ramiro already touched a bit on this. These are animals that are not used to land predators, so they are really tame and curious. There are also a lot of these species that are endemic to the Galapagos. The albatross, for example, you only find it in Galapagos. Same goes for the Galapagonian hawk. The marine iguanas, as well, as Ramiro said, it is the only place in the world where you see a reptile holding his breath and feeding from underwater algae. So they are extremely incredible, abundant, and it's an incredible experience to, like Ramiro said, just see a bird that is not afraid of you approaching it to the point that you need to be careful not to step on wildlife. So it's incredible. Ramiro, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and for me, one of my special and most favorite animals is the blue-footed booby, of course. Everybody that knows me knows that. And it's, besides, I always get asked, how would you describe the animals in Galapagos? And it's, there's so many words that you can use, but life in Galapagos, I like the word naive. They come to our guests, they look at us, and they see no evil. They see no threat. They see no danger. And that's what I love about a place like Galapagos, that we can blend in with nature. We are part of an environment, not the dominant as we think, and they view us as such, and they welcome us as such. And it's like almost the animal saying, come, I'll show you my babies. I'll show you where I just gave birth. I'll show you where we sleep. And it's such a unique feeling to have that, where animals are so naive, so innocent, so welcoming in a way.
And Ramiro, you said your favorite bird is the blue-footed booby. You know what's coming next because you can see. I hope this comes out for everybody listening. What does a blue-footed booby sound like?
Tudor, you don't change, do you?
No, I don't. No.
Well, the males will have a beautiful whistling sound, like, and the females have like a honking sound, like when Verena gets angry at us, more or less.
Can you do the whistling sound? It didn't come through first time.
Okay, let's see if I can whistle. It's so cold.
Yeah. It's not.
No, it didn't come.
No, it didn't come. Must be the sound, but
yeah, no, it's brilliant. No, fantastic. And as Verena said, this is Ollie, who was on a trip in November. Just how the wildlife are just so, we are visiting their home, and as Ramiro said, they kind of like to show us their home, unlike anywhere else. And I've been very lucky in places I've been around the world. Unlike anywhere else, the wildlife in the Galapagos are just so curious about us, and yeah, really special to visit. And one of the things that is really, really popular, Ramiro, and you kind of, when I've been on board with you, people just keep on asking, when are we going snorkeling again? When are we going snorkeling again? And the first time I went, I was kind of taken away at how amazing the snorkeling is. So these are some we've got some short videos here showing the snorkeling. But if you want to talk on top of the video, Ramiro, and tell us a bit what we're seeing, then please do.
There we have some playful sea lions, as you can see, innocent as could be. There you go. We have some happy customers, seems like it.
I think it's Ollie laughing.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. Animals really want to interact with you. Animals really want you to be there. Animals really like your presence in a way.
They're curious. They are, inquisitive, and it's beautiful.
And I think one of the things, I was lucky enough. I took my children out, and my son was there, and my daughter was a bit nervous about this. But what do you say to people that are nervous about a sea lion coming up, or swimming with sea lions is an incredible experience. But how do you say, how do you talk to people about that when their first snorkeling experience?
Well, I always say don't be nervous. It's like a sea lion or a shark or a killer whale. It's like any fish, any little creature, and nothing to be afraid, because they won't hurt you. They don't see us as danger. They, as I said, they like being there. They like playing with you. So I always say, just imagine it's a little fish like you have at home, like maybe in a big aquarium, and you're just swimming in that big aquarium. So there's nothing to be nervous about. Of course, the first interaction will be, I always say, awe-inspiring, but nothing to be nervous about.
Yeah, and
even the sharks, Ramiro, even the sharks will not come at you. You can be comfortable in the ocean and look at admire the sharks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at
yeah, definitely.
This video is great.
That's a school of rays, and we have a nice 3-meter long shark. Oh, and a couple of hammerheads, of course. These are about 3.5 meters also, and are just some of the most awe-inspiring animals. But again, just fish swimming near you, being part of the environment. Nothing to be nervous about.
Another shark.
And that's a little white tip reef shark.
Yeah, it's like if you dive once, you want to go again and again and again.
And Ramiro, maybe this is so good. I'm going to play this again. But can you talk us through when it's playing again, just how the snorkeling and activities? How do you arrange the guests on board to do, or how do you do snorkeling? Do you dive off the top of the ship, or how do you do it? But I'll play it again, and if you could talk us through that, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, the way we organize it is by groups. We don't go off the ship. We have to go into the zodiacs, and then we usually find the best spot, and the guides decide. And that's the beauty of having naturalists from the area, that they say, oh, last week I was here and I found this cave, so we always keep finding like new places, and I leave it up to them to find the best places for their guests. And then once we're there, we'll do a safety briefing, and then we'll go into the water basically to explore, because the guides don't know exactly what we're going to see, but we explore with the guests as well. And we'll try to show them as much as we possibly can. We make groups of up to 16 guests per boat. They all have to be accompanied by a guide, and always a boat with a ladder will follow the guests for safety reasons, just in case. But I always say, if you've never done it, try it. Worst thing that could happen is that you love it, like Verena said, and that you want to do it every day, which happens to be most of the cases. I always say, imagine if Charles Darwin had brought his mask and snorkel. Maybe we would have had Origin of the Species 20 years earlier.
Yeah. And in terms of that safety angle, and we saw in the first video people with we supply what equipment do people need to bring? Any equipment with them, or how do that organized?
We do have on board flippers. We have masks, snorkels, and wetsuit shorties, though, because in Galapagos we don't have really cold temperatures. But there are some guests that are a little bit more prone to cold. So I always say, if you are an experienced swimmer, diver, and you want to bring your own wetsuit, go for it. What I do recommend is, if you can, bring your own mask, especially if you wear prescription glasses, because all of our masks are standard adults and standard children. But if you have your own, I would definitely grab that. It's like a birder always brings his binoculars, right? Because they are his binoculars. I would say, if you want to explore the underwater world, also bring your mask. That should come with you.
Yeah, fantastic. And then Verena, you've been lucky enough to get to the Galapagos a few times. And we asked, what's your favorite moment? Talk us a bit through why you're smiling so much.
Well, I started working for HX in Antarctica, and as you all know, penguins are one of the key species in Antarctica. So being in a place in the equator where you can also encounter penguins, for me was like an amazing experience. It's also, the Galapagos is sometimes referred to as the third pole because of the many similarities that you get to experience between Galapagos and the remote polar regions, like tameness of the animals and then the endemic species. And so for me, being able to see the penguins in the Galapagos was a dream come true.
Yeah, and the smile says it all. And then I put a little one, and you kind of when you look closely, I remember this was on a trip. This was at Christmas time, and the Christmas iguana, when the breeding season, the colours just absolutely blew me away. But then on one of the excursions and landings, walking around the corner, I looked at this rock and I thought those are really funny rock features. And then when I zoomed in, I realized that it's just a mass of iguanas, and it just absolutely blew me away. They're out of the water. And how frequent and regular are this type of sighting, Ramiro?
They're very frequent. I mean, there's almost no time of the day or of the year that you won't see animals. Animals are always around. The iguanas, you come after 8 in the morning and they have already fed. So they're all on land, basking and getting their sun. Most of the animals are very active at that day. Before the national park closes, animals are coming back from hunting, looking for their babies. So there's always a lot of action. Even we do have seasons, rainy and dry season. It doesn't matter in which season you come. You come in the rainy season, there's a lot of activity with land animals. You come in the non-rainy season, there's a lot of activity in the water. You come in the months in between, which are a good 4 or 5 months, you see the overlap of the two seasons. So I always say there's really always something going on with the animals here.
No, and it does. They are just the sightings just are breathtaking, and just as we're doing this, it's kind of bringing it all back, and I'm like, when can I go back again? It's just it's amazing. And as per all our itineraries, that deep immersive experience is the same. Santa Cruz 2, we'll talk about the ship in a little bit, is a lot smaller. But how does our science and education program play out on Santa Cruz 2, Verena?
Well, as mentioned previously, as opposed to our other vessels where we have our staff on the Santa Cruz 2, we are working together with the guides from Galapagos to deliver our science and education program. So we have also worked together with them to introduce our bone clones collections, and microscopes, and include a little bit more of this more hands-on part of the program that we offer on the other ships. But again, we did not have to provide any input into the content of forgot the word, the way they will guide you and show you everything around when you are on land. That is where they excel in what they do, their knowledge and the way they can guide you through the lava rock and talk to you about that, and point out the lava lizard that will be hiding on those rocks. So it really is an integral part of the science and education program. What we have brought in as well is the participating in citizen science projects, and for that we have worked with them to train them also on how to use these projects, how to use the platforms available to contribute to these projects. And if you go to the Galapagos and want to participate in these projects, you can already start by downloading the applications that will allow you to contribute with observations. And as you can see here, Ramiro is becoming an expert in iNaturalist, which is a great program, a great project, which just is an accumulation of observations of all living creatures in the planet. People just submit pictures, and that provides researchers with location and abundance of all species around the world. It is an incredible program. Go and look at all of these projects online. Alice, in the background, will make a copy of this slide and put it in the chat so that you have it available for playing around with this information.
And Ramiro, Verena made a really good point there about, when you go ashore, the naturalists, the guides, the depth of knowledge is incredible. But again, can you just talk us through about the organization of when we take people from the ship to shore and how that works and how far, what's the walking like, what type of shoes do we need, that type of stuff?
Well, yeah, so all the guests, we have up to 90 guests on board always. So the nice thing is that we're, compared to other ships, a really small ship. So everybody gets to go out at the same time. Nobody has to wait for a shift to come back, and then we go out again. So all the 90 guests will go divided into groups of up to 16 people. Every guide can take up to 16 people. Before the evening before, we have a briefing, and in the briefing I tell them, what kind of shoes to bring. Usually walking shoes are necessary for most of the walks. We do have lava rocks, so I always say pack your walking shoes. We do have walking sticks, but if you have your favorite walking pole, that's always a good idea to bring it. And then most of the trails are really not that long. We do take about 3 hours for every hike that we do. Most of the trails are about a mile, 2 miles maximum. But the reason why we try to spend so much time is because we really want to learn. We really want to look at the animals. We really want to give the guests an opportunity to take pictures. And I always say when I go out to an island, I like to sit down and just watch and just hear and just see, and not always look through my camera, but I want to look through my eyes. I want to hear with my ears. And I always like to have this moment where I just sit and I always say to the guests, don't forget to just be. And Galapagos is a great place to just be. Put your hands in the sand, touch the rock, sit on a rock, feel that connection. And that's why we need so much time. So lengthwise, don't think that, it's a 10 mile, something that nobody can do or only people in their 20s can do. Most of the trails are medium difficult. There are lava rocks. That's why we take the walking sticks. But distance-wise, they're really not that long.
Yeah, no, fantastic, thanks. And the guide, as Ramiro said, just to remind that a guide will stay with each group, maximum of 16 people, and interpret the landscape, the wildlife, the fauna as you go. So they will be with you throughout that time ashore and sharing their incredible depth of knowledge. We mentioned Santa Cruz 2, beautiful little ship. The feedback from our guests for Santa Cruz is amazing. It's incredibly comfortable. It's been through a recent refurbishment before we started our relationship with Santa Cruz 2, with Metropolitan. Really comfortable cabins, beautiful restaurants, fantastic local food. And with that, if you're interested in coming with us, then we do offer a number of different type of packages with a number of different itineraries. In 2026, this year, there are a few more variables than on this sort of simplified flowchart compared with from 2027, where we have streamlined the itineraries a bit. We're going to talk a little bit about the optional pre and post programs. And also the opportunity to have a trip to Peru and Machu Picchu before the itinerary, before you go to the Galapagos. All our trips start, and they include 2 nights in Quito. They include the flight to the Galapagos, and they also include the national park fee. So our trips are unique in that, and we're including all those elements. In terms of the different itineraries, and we just sort of put a composite slide, don't even try and read it. If you are interested in going, then I recommend you to do some research or look at the internet. But the aim is to just give you a little flavor, because there are the different elements there. But Ramiro, we've got the I'm just going to go back to this the previous slide. We've got the East itinerary, which is 6 nights on board. But of course, the whole makeup when we have the pre-nights in Quito, and if you add on Machu Picchu, the trip gets longer. And we also have the West and the North itineraries. Can you just talk us a little bit about the differences from those, and what may help potential guests choose between them?
Yeah. So in the Eastern itinerary, first of all, every island is so different from each other. It's like you go with the ship 2 hours away, and it's, you started at a gray island, and then you end up on a red island, and then on a yellow island, and things like that. So every itinerary has been carefully done to visit some of the best islands of the archipelago. Galapagos has 247 islands, and rocks. It's impossible to visit every single place, but we've managed to get probably one of the best itineraries in Galapagos to maximize the experience of the guest. The Eastern itinerary has, for example, red-footed boobies, which can only be seen in 2 places in Galapagos. So if you go on the Eastern and you're a birder, you have to get the red-footed boobies, checked on your list. On that Eastern itinerary, we follow the steps of Charles Darwin, because we visit San Cristobal, the first island he visited. We see the tortoises that he saw as well. As I mentioned, we get to see one unique species of land iguana, the Santa Fe land iguana. We get to snorkel. We get to see blue-footed boobies. So that part of the itinerary, the Eastern, has a lot of nice walks and unique species. Like I said, like the San Cristobal giant tortoise, the red-footed boobies, the Santa Fe land iguana. If you go to the West, there are people like Verena who go nuts for penguins. The West is where most of the penguins will live. So the Eastern doesn't have penguins. So if you're a penguin lover like Verena, you have to focus maybe on the West, because we got the penguins, we got the flightless cormorants. We get to go to Fernandina and Isabella, the most pristine islands of Galapagos, middle of nowhere. That is where the islands get created, where the hotspot is. Flightless cormorants cannot be found anywhere else in the world or in Galapagos except those 2 islands. So if you're going for uniqueness and you're penguins, the Western itinerary is a good option for you. We have the Northern itinerary as well. The Northern goes to some great islands like the Red Island I mentioned, Rabida. You get to see red-footed boobies on that island as well, blue-footed boobies. And you get to go to Genovesa, a sunken caldera, where we have 40,000 Nazca boobies right in front of you. We have 120,000 couples of red-footed boobies flying above your head. Frigate birds that are inflated, which are part of the Big 15 as well. That itinerary, the Northern, has flamingos as well. So depending, again, what you would like to do, what I recommend is, if you have the time and the conditions, go for it all. Galapagos is such a great place to combine the 3 itineraries. And there's actually quite a few guests who said, it's such a unique opportunity. It's so far away. Might as well do it now. So why not?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and there is that variety, but our aim is to give you the options to build what fits for you, what fits your times as well. So again, we're going to briefly talk. We've had lots of questions in the chat, so we want to allow quite a bit of time for the live question and answer session for those. So I'm just going to quickly go through, the amazingness of Quito, this incredible capital city, the colonial old town, almost 2,800, 2,900 meters high. Incredible place to visit and spend those 2 days before the itinerary. Really incredible capital city, amazing feeling. If you do the Peru option, again, Lima, modern city, absolutely incredible with that history. Being able to visit Machu Picchu, this incredible ruined Inca city, the lost city, and going to Machu Picchu from Cusco. And of course, Machu Picchu, one of these famed, incredible places. We have the opportunities with Metropolitan Travel to go to this incredible wildlife reserve, Mashpee Reserve, a luxury jungle retreat in the Chaboco Forest. Absolutely breathtaking, incredible species. And really, if you have the time, again, incredible opportunities to do that. And of course, on the eastern side of the Andes, we've got the Amazon. So loads of opportunities to do extras to really enhance what already is an incredible trip to the Galapagos. But yeah, opportunities is a long way. And if you can and have the time, then thoroughly recommend doing some of these extras. All our trips to the Galapagos and with Metropolitan are 100% carbon neutral. They're offset through the Fundación Futura, where that carbon offset is put back into the cloud forest. So there's a really active program, which again, fantastic to be part of. So that's really sort of investing directly back in Ecuador. And also through the foundation, the HX Foundation, that we have options for green stay and also an auction on every trip, or on the longer trip, sorry. Then we support local projects. So here we've been supporting with the Okotoco Foundation, the recovery of the critically endangered Galapagos petrel with a reserve where we've had direct results very quickly of really improved breeding success and bringing what was almost extinct in that area. And also working with local women in sustainability, really important, getting supporting local communities. So we've had great success with those as well. So opportunities for us to invest back in those. If you are interested in coming to the Galapagos with us, then we do have, as always, an offer to thank you for your time with an additional 5% off on your bookings using the code HX Webinars 26. That offer is open for 2 weeks. So if you are interested, then please do take the opportunity to speak to one of our expedition specialists that will help you with your booking. And we also have a suite of webinars now. We've been doing these fireside chats for 1.5 years, talking about different destinations. So if you are interested about looking at different destinations, then please do take a look at those other destinations. Or if you want to watch this one again, you're more than welcome. But we're going to turn over to Ollie, bring Ollie into the spotlighting now, and then take your questions live and continue the discussions, because I know there's been lots of discussions. I'll stop sharing screen now, and then we can there we go. Ollie, fantastic.
Hello, thank you for sharing my home movies on that presentation as well. I hope everybody enjoyed those. But I was lucky enough to go to the Galapagos in November last year, so hence why there was a couple of videos and pictures in there that were thrown into the mix. So I hope those were enjoyed. And Ramiro, I have to say I loved your description of the wildlife as naive. That completely summed up to me in one word exactly how they behave towards us. And it's just, you cannot describe the interactions that you have with the wildlife until you're there and facing off to a blue-footed booby or a sea lion, as you saw in those videos. Absolutely stunning place that everybody must visit at some point in their life. Lots of questions, so thank you everybody for your engagement in the chat, very much appreciated. I'm going to cover one of the hot topics first, so Ramiro, if you could help me out with this one, please. A lot of people are asking about diving versus snorkeling, and obviously we offer a lot of opportunities on board to do snorkeling. And some people say, oh, is it better to snorkel or to dive? And so yeah, it just would be great to understand from your perspective what you recommend and what the opportunities are for both.
Yeah, so we offer snorkeling on the ship. We're not allowed to do diving when you come on the Santa Cruz 2. We have great snorkeling places, as you probably experience. So I'm not a diver, but I have a few of my guides who are divers. And some of these places are just as beautiful, snorkeling or diving. I mean, because you get so close to the wildlife, swim through schools of fish. You don't need to go, 10 meters down. You're okay being 2 meters down or on the surface, and you can still see a lot. But we do have guests that are avid divers that have gone on diving trips. And for that, I always recommend do a post trip in Galapagos. Stay a couple days after. We do offer, I believe, a post trip in Galapagos, and then we can connect you with local diving companies. If you really want to get that extra, we can connect you to some of the best places for diving, because just like there are places which are hotspot for wildlife, to see your red-footed boobies, to see your penguins, there are some places where you go to see your hammerhead sharks, where you go to try to see your whale sharks in diving for experienced divers. So I would recommend snorkeling is great. You will be, mesmerized by what you see. But if you are a diver and you have done that for a long time and you have traveled the world diving, Galapagos is, I think, now one of the top 20 places in the world to go diving. And if you do a post program, we can arrange that.
Great. Thank you very much, Ramiro. Brenna, perhaps you can help with this question. Just around proximity to the animals, and a lot of our guests today have been to Antarctica with us and keen to understand, there's obviously quite a lot of restrictions around proximity to animals. So how that compares in Galapagos to Antarctica, please.
Well, in Antarctica, we have the rule 5 meters or 15 feet from wildlife. But in Galapagos, it is very difficult to respect that any distance, as Ramiro very well pointed out. Sometimes it is the animals coming to you. What we recommend, Ramiro, and correct me if I'm wrong, is just allow the animal to be itself, to do whatever they feel they need to do. Just avoid touching them in return.
Well, we do have a distance of 2 meters you have to respect. Yes. But in the water, I mean, the animals will come. I mean, everything is faster than you in the water. So if they want to come close, there's nothing you can do about it. On land, of course, we try to keep that distance of 2 meters. Yeah, but 2 meters, compared to 5 meters is a world of a difference. 2 meters, you can see everything about the animal. It's not really a big distance. And the national park, we actually established that thinking of the guest experience. We want people to really be in touch with the Galapagos when they come, really be in touch with the animals.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Unsurprisingly, there's a few questions around politics, and clearly at HX we can't express any political views. But Ramiro, as a person from a Galapagos, and obviously you've experienced the situation there recently. Any thoughts around Venezuela and Ecuador, and any impact of any of the recent kind of geopolitical situation, please?
Yeah. Well, not really. Galapagos in Ecuador are very, very different, very separated, and we have actually managed to establish a corridor for guests. If you come with us and travel, there's nothing to be worried about, because we work with providers that are safe. We have safe passage. We only go to the places, neutral places, stay away from protest or anything like that. So if a lot of the people are concerned being in the mainland for safety, I say don't be. If you book with us, we have already looked at all these little factors, politics, protests, this and that, and make sure that doesn't interfere with the products until you actually come to Galapagos. And then the only fear you should have in Galapagos is that you want to stay longer and you don't want to leave, and you want to do the 3 cruises in a row. That would be the only danger I would see.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
Yeah.
In terms of the activities, that's a huge part of life on board in the Galapagos, Ramiro. And I remember in the welcome speech when I was there, what touched me was you saying very few people get the opportunity to come to Galapagos. So congratulations for getting here. Whilst you're here, we're going to make the most of absolutely every opportunity to see the wildlife and encounter everything. And you absolutely did that, which was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, just a lot of comments around some people are saying, oh, won't necessarily always want to swim and things like that. So if you could talk a little bit about how you kind of structure the activities on board. And again, some people in Antarctica on the bigger ships are familiar with like a lottery system for things like camping, and how does the booking process work for activities, please?
Yeah. Well, we do have, everybody gets to do either a walk or a boat ride when there's no landing spot. So that's the main program. But we do have extra activities like snorkeling, kayaking, paddleboarding, and glass bottom boat. And we actually do not have a lottery system. The night of the briefing, they can sign up on a list until next day, 7 in the morning. If 90 guests want to go kayaking the next day, they will go kayaking. We will find a way. There's always a way. While some people go walking, other people will go kayaking, then we will switch. So I always say, don't worry about that. Just let us know what you want to do, and we will facilitate. We will make it happen. So in that respect, and then you don't have to really have to wait to be chosen in the lottery and then maybe miss something that you were planning on doing. So these are all extras, and everybody can do them as long as they sign up. So there's really no restriction as to the number of people that can participate in an activity.
Brilliant. Thank you. Tudor, question for you. Which island is an absolute must-see? What, from your experience, what did you enjoy the most? I saw your cycling picture.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that too.
So we do that excursion on bikes and when you're cycling along and there's a giant tortoise on the path, it's pretty special. I think as Ramiro said, every island is different, so it's really hard to pick a special. The Caldera in the north is just really special with the frigate. Ramiro's far better at explaining these. Española is magic with the iguanas. That was one of my first mass iguana experience. So that was a real memory. But it's that whole experience, I think, really puts it together, and that the way Ramiro and team and the itineraries are designed really give that variety. So you get something different every day. I think the other thing that was great for me when I first went was taking the kids. My son was 19 and my daughter was 20, but you get lots of children on board. But seeing it through their lens as well was added a whole dimension. So I think there's something in the Galapagos for everyone.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Verena, a question from a keen bird watcher. They're interested in seeing the birds, which they will not be disappointed, I can assure them.
No.
Is there any ornithologist or even a biologist that can help me identify the species? So,
well, again,
how does that work?
all of the guides, they are really generalists. They know their birds. You can ask Ramiro about any bird that you will encounter, and he will be able to tell you the name, the place where they are nesting, the season when they are nesting, so provide you a lot of information about all of these birds. They really are in their backyard. They know what they are doing. They know what they are telling you and have the knowledge. So don't worry. But if you are in doubt, which I would not, you can also rely on Merlin ID and Merlin ID. Yes, yeah. Which is an app that was developed with Cornell Lab of Ornithology. So you can also download that and have a guide in your pocket, in your hand about the birds. But again, rely on them. They know what they're doing.
I don't think on the trips that I've been on in the Galapagos I've never not been able to have an answer from one of the guides.
Exactly.
And sometimes the guy said, my special interest is this. But their general knowledge is massive. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree. The knowledge and the interactions that you have with the guides really make the experience as well, because they're all local. They're from the Galapagos. They're passionate. They know their stuff. They're often like they'll spot an animal that they've seen in a previous itinerary or something, and they're kind of interacting with it in a really special way, and it really blows you away. There's a few questions around itineraries and east to west and differences between the two itineraries of east to west and whether they can be booked back to back, which I believe they can. So, Ramiro, would you mind just giving us the headlines, highlights of that?
Yeah,
these topics? Yeah.
yeah, definitely they can be booked back to back. We actually have an increasing number of guests doing that now, which I always say it's. I mean, if you can do it, go for it. And it basically depends on whether you have the time and your interests. Because, like I'd say, the Eastern has lots of great things, but they're lacking that penguin. If that penguin is your thing, then you have to combine your Eastern itinerary with a Western. But if you're already done the Eastern and the Western, you cannot miss to go to Genovesa, or you cannot miss to go to Bartolome, the Pinnacle Rock or the Red Island, Rabida. So it's depending on what you want to see. But even if you choose one of the three programs and not two or the three, you will not be disappointed.
Absolutely. And in terms of costs of activities, there's a few questions coming in around what you have to pay for the cycling, what you have to pay for the kayaking.
No, everything
etc.
everything is included, completely included. All the activities are run by us. When we do have providers, we also will absorb those costs, like when we go to the towns. So guests don't have to pay for any activities, only book for them so that we know that they want to do it.
Yeah, and we also give all of our guests a nice book on the Big 15 on board. You get a water bottle, you get a backpack, and you may or may not be aware that HX are one of the few providers that provide the flights to the islands, the Galapagos tax that you pay, and the 2 nights pre-cruise within Quito, and that really kind of sets us apart from the competition as well. A few questions around children. Which I wasn't expecting, but any kind of restrictions on the ages of children and how many children we normally have on board, perhaps?
Mm-hmm. No, we don't have a restriction on the amount of children. We have had sometimes like whole schools of them. I believe I read an email recently, maybe Tudor and Verena can correct me, that the minimum age is 7 now for children to come to Galapagos. 5. Okay, so 5.
It's gone down.
Yes, it's gone down in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think one part of that is, during the school holiday periods, then obviously people tend to travel as families. So you will get, some families on board. In terms of percentage, is not many. It's actually a small ship anyway. So you may get a couple of families. Outside the school holiday period, you rarely get any children because we can't sort of pull them out of school. So I saw a question. Are there any adult trips outside the school holiday period? It's very unlikely to get any children on board.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in terms of any literature or guidebooks or any inspiration that you'd recommend? I know, Ramiro, you talked about that film Eden when I was on board as well. That's recently come out. Jude Law, Sydney Sweeney. Any recommendations from you guys on any content?
There's quite a few things you can read. I always say, like, if you have a general interest in wildlife, you want to have an idea about Galapagos, there's actually a really good book called Galapagos Natural History, I believe, by Michael Jackson, not the singer, but the writer. And
thanks for clarifying.
It talks a little bit about everything, and a lot of guests actually get to bring that. If you're a birder, there's Birds of the Galapagos. There's basically an identification guide, and if you are really into birds and science, there's a really nice book called The Beak of the Finch by Jonathan Weiner that it also talks about some of the research that has been done with the finches, especially in Galapagos. So that's kind of to give you a broad idea of what you're getting into.
Great. And Ramiro. Oh, sorry, go on, Verna.
If you are into photography, there are several books by this Belgium origin woman, Rui de Roy, who has captured incredible images and produced a few bird guides as well. So that would also be something to consider.
Yeah, brilliant. Ramiro, we have 2 different types of landings from the ship on the pangas, right, on the small boats. So there's wet and dry landings. If you wouldn't mind just talking to the kind of different types of footwear people might want to think about for the expedition, please.
Yeah, sure. When we have wet landings, most of the times you can land without shoes, barefoot, and then you will have to have your walking shoes, of course, after. If you have tender feet or maybe any little pebble could bother you, I would always say water socks. There are some really easy to carry thin water socks with a sole. As long as something has a sole, you can do landings very easily and then just easily change into your walking shoes. When we have dry landings, you wear your shoes already from the ship. So you will be going ship, Zodiac, island. And usually something with a sturdy sole and something that has kind of a little bit of a back support, I would say, because, sometimes on the lava rocks, the steps could be uneven. So that's what I would recommend.
Great. Thank you. We've also had a question around whether we have provisions for solo travelers on the ship. So again, Ramiro, that's probably a good one for you. And generally, we get about a fifth of our guests are solo. So what provisions do we have for solo travelers, please?
Yes, there's quite a few of them. And of course, at the restaurants, we have open seating. We don't assign seating. So we allow single guests to meet other single guests and be able to sit together. I often leave it up to them to make their groups, kind of find different people with different interests. Sometimes the singles will group amongst themselves, sometimes photographers. So we'll have walks like that to give them a chance to kind of get to know the rest of the people on the ship. So we provide every opportunity we can for them to meet, for them to spend time and hopefully forge some friendships.
Absolutely. I know a lot of people do forge lifelong friendships on our ships, and everyone is very much like-minded, down to earth, and passionate about the experience on the adventure that they're on. So we're very much coming to time. So I think potentially one final question just around photography. Verena, you're a budding photographer. So any thoughts from you on tips? And one of the comments was, do you actually need a long lens because you get so close to the wildlife? And any thoughts, recommendations around photography equipment?
Well, you do get close to wildlife, but if you like photographing birds in flight, for example, then you will need your zoom to be able to capture this kind of images and the little details on the eye and so on. So I would suggest bring a good wide range or big lens so that you can also capture the incredible landscape like in Bartolomé that Ramiro was just talking about, or the wildlife. The zoom, a 400 millimeters should be more than enough based on how close you can get to wildlife.
Brilliant. Well, we're at the hour, so thank you everybody so much for joining today, and thank you to our fantastic panel, and thank you to everybody behind the scenes as well for all your support with the questions, and all of your engagement has been brilliant. So the only thing that remains is if you wouldn't mind please completing the survey that will pop up on your screen. We'd love to get your feedback from today. But apart from that, it's been great having you listen to us today, and thank you very much for joining, and thank you once more.
And we hope to see you on board the Santa Cruz
soon. Yes,
absolutely.
Come visit us.
Yeah, thank you. See you.
Come meet Ramiro.
Amazing trip.
Yes.
It's worth it.
Thank you.
Bye.